Bring your kid to download day. Apparently, I had this headline that I absolutely wanted to talk about with you guys because you guys know me. I talk a lot about hearing protection at concerts. But a headline I saw this morning says fan faces backlash for bringing her baby to heavy metal festival. Apparently, that's an actual picture from her at the festival. And that kid is very young. But let's check out this article, see what they said and stuff like that. And then I actually do want to talk about hearing for a second because bringing your kid to a concert or anybody in general is a very loud environment. And, you should always protect your ears. But at first, let's look at this. Article states off by saying a baby at a heavy metal festival. Your reaction to the idea may be similar to some of the backlash that metal-loving mom Lauren McCauley apparently faced when she brought her 10-month-old baby to England's rock and metal-filled Download Festival 2023 earlier this month. It happened June 8th to 11th. While the baby, named Lemmy, after the late Motorhead leader Lemmy Kilmister, appeared to wear hearing protection, the British tabloid The Daily Mail still reported that McCauley received criticism for her decision in several comments. Now, before we go any further, I will say, dude, I mean, you guys know me. I don't have to explain myself. I tour all the time. I see young kids at concerts all the time. I've seen people bring babies to concerts all the time. 9 times out of 10, the parents have hearing protection on them, which is great. But sometimes people don't really think about it or don't really know what that hearing protection is protecting and what could happen if it's not working well. McCauley, who's attended Download in the past, even while pregnant, had her share of critics. I feel like some people just don't realize how packed and dangerous Download can be, especially for young children, one commenter reportedly remarked. It is not a safe environment for a small child, another commenter reportedly said. There are too many drunken, drugged-up idiots around to risk a child's life. Undeterred, McCauley suggested that she didn't have an issue. She said that she'd even bring the baby to the fest again. But according to the Mail and the New York Post, McCauley clapped back at commenters who questioned her decision to bring the baby to Download. People are just really miserable, the mother said. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. She continued, I personally really like spending time with my kids, so I don't have a problem with taking her to Download Festival. Some parents like leaving their kids and getting a break, but not everybody has that option. I could have, but I didn't want to. McCauley added there were lots of negative comments from people saying the festival is not child-friendly, but Download Festival has literally created a child-friendly area this year called Mini Moshers. That's awesome. Where they had baby changing facilities. I mean, there's still lots that Download Festival can do to make it more child-friendly place, but the picture that I put up was actually of Lemmy at a child event where they had music in a tent for the kids. She further asserted Lemmy had ear defenders on for the music and copious amounts of sunscreen. I got a really good Pram fan, so we had no problem at all. I honestly never had one issue. Some joined McCauley's side and defended her. I don't understand why there's so much judgment. One commenter proffered. The fuck does proffered mean? There was literally stuff put on for kids and they had a designated campsite which was closed off and had security. What do you think? Would you bring a baby to a metal festival? Do you agree with McCauley? So, me personally, as a parent, I don't think I would bring Ingrid. Ingrid is just over 2 years old. I don't think I'd be bringing her to a metal festival at this point. I don't even know if I'd bring her to a concert. And it has more to do with her hearing protection than the actual people at the shows. Because, I think you would find if you brought your kid to a show, people around you would be aware and they'd actually be like, oh, cool, whatever, and kind of, be aware of that situation. For me, it's the ear protection because kids are still developing. I mean, at 10 months old, that kid is still developing senses and stuff. All the flashing lights from the concert, the sound more specifically, that's a lot of intense stuff. Now, what I will say, I'm not going to outwardly judge anybody else about what they do with their kid. It's their kid. It's not mine. I may disagree with it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's their kid. She said she didn't have a problem. Whatever. Cool. And that's probably a cool experience. She'll remember that and she'll be able to tell her kid, hey, I brought you to Download when you were 10 months old. Kid was clearly wearing ear protection. There have been situations with friends of mine that have had kids where I've been like, that's probably not smart. Claire and I know somebody that had a kid and literally 4 days after having a kid was on Broadway in Nashville, bar hopping with their 4-day-old. And this was in 2020. So like COVID was a thing. Like, I'm not going to say anything to them and say what they should do. That, again, it's their kid, it's their life, but like, holy fuck, that's a totally different situation. That's crazy. But going back to the hearing protection part of it, like, kids are still developing. And, you know, there are many times where I've seen kids at concerts where I'm like, you know, if you're going to go to a concert, be aware of your surroundings and stuff like that too. Like, don't go all the way up to the stage with your kid. When I say kid, I'm talking like this young. I've been to many rock shows where people have had like their 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds up towards the front of the stage having a good time. That's completely different. When we're talking about kids that are still developing at that young of an age, you could severely affect their hearing by being in that kind of environment. And I want to go over something with you guys, which I've done before, because I feel like not a lot of people take their hearing protection seriously. No, we're not going to be doing a plug here for hearing protection for ads or anything. This is just me talking about it because I'm kind of passionate about this. Children and babies are particularly at risk for harm from excessive noise exposure. Their ear canals are not fully developed, and a baby's auditory faculty is more sensitive than an adult's. That is why it is vital to prevent noise exposures and create safe environments for them. As a rule of thumb, babies should not be exposed to noise levels over 60 decibels. For reference, I'm talking over 60 decibels right now. Like, a normal conversation is about 55 to 60 decibels, and I talk very loud anyways. So Simno and chat just said, I'm sure babies create their own noise at greater than 80 dBs. That just gave me an interesting thing to do. Like, I have a decibel reader at home. Next time Ingrid's crying like and screaming about something, I'm going to see what it says. But I imagine it's loud. But one of the other things to remember about this is exposure time. Exposure of over 100 decibels for as little as 15 minutes can start causing long-term hearing loss. And once those things are gone, they're gone. And hearing loss is painless for the most part, unless you get your eardrum blown out. Like, you don't even know that it's happening until it's too late. And I wish that I would have taken this stuff seriously when I was younger, because I definitely have a little bit of hearing problems going on. Like, I have tinnitus. It's always a great decision, whether you're an adult or you're bringing your kid, to wear hearing protection. But how well is that hearing protection going to work? The Radian's Youth Shooting Earmuff from Walmart. These are very popular. I see kids wear these at concerts all the time. They have a noise reduction rating of 21. That's 21 decibels, A-weighted. So even reducing it by 21, let's say you're at a rock concert where the front of house engineer is mixing unreasonably loud. Like, let's say 120 decibels, right? 120 decibels is enough to cause long-term hearing damage over a short amount of time. These headphones have a noise reduction rating of 21 decibels. So that means if they're used properly and effectively, like if they're tight and they're effective, 21 decibels reduced. So that takes you down to 99. 99 is still around that area where you can still have some issues. So when you're getting hearing protection for yourself or for your kids, you really need to consider and keep in mind where you're going to be using that. That's why when I get hearing protection, I go minimum 21, 25 is a little more preferred, because most of the time I'm wearing hearing protection at concerts. Not many audio engineers are going to mix at 120 decibels. If they are, I think they're an asshole, for one. But let's say it's at 110, you're still going to be down towards that 85 to 90 limit, which is safe. So I always recommend hearing protection, and I always recommend knowing what you're going to use it for and what the noise reduction rating on it is. But anyways, bringing kids to rock shows, what do you guys think? I'm in the position of, you know, it's the parent's kid, and if they're doing what they can, like this woman having hearing protection and sunscreen and stuff on their kid, she's trying, man. She probably made a good memory for her and her kid. I'm not going to judge, whatever. If I saw her at the festival, I wouldn't have thought anything of it unless the kid didn't have hearing protection on. Then I probably would have been like, kind of an asshole. But you can clearly see by the photos, she had hearing protection on. And with that, I will one more time remind everybody, whether you're going to a concert or a sporting event or you're around loud noises, protect your ears, because I will tell you right now from personal experience, if you don't protect them and your hearing starts going, you're going to be miserable and it's going to suck.